Hello everyone. All right, in this second video, we're going to be talking more about how EFT works and how to do EFT. In the first video, we talked about what EFT is, and now we're moving into how we perform it. So it's really very simple, and we're just going to dive right in here. And so we start by identifying the points. And so the first point that we're going to tap on is the side of the hand. You can choose to do it on either hand, the pinky side of the hand on the fleshy part down here. So I typically tap with my right hand because I'm a righty, but it does not matter which hand you choose to start with. And we just gently tap. Sometimes people will ask, how hard do you tap? I would say you just tap as hard as, as you would on somebody's shoulder to just get their attention. We're just gently tapping. And this is where we will do what's called the setup statement, and I'll describe that in a little bit, but we're just going to go over these points to begin with. And then the top of the head, right in the center of the head, I usually do this with an open palm, but you can bring your fingertips together if you prefer. It really is up to you, what feels the best for you. And especially during these times, it's really important to remember to make sure that you have clean hands before you're tapping and touching your face, and don't tap on points that feel uncomfortable or hurt you in any way. If any of these points feel uncomfortable, go ahead and skip them. We don't want to be hurting ourselves. Then we're going to come to the start of the eyebrows here, and you can do both hands or just one. People will tell me that if they don't do both, they'll feel uneven. So we can't be feeling uneven then. But again, it's fine. You can just do one. You can stick on one side or then just go to the other. It's very it's open to what feels best for you. Then we're going to come to the side of the eye. Make sure that you're not too close to the eye, that you're making yourself blink or anything like that. Under the eye. Now this is one of those points that can be more sensitive. Obviously this is where our sinuses are, so just being mindful of how it feels, maybe tapping a little bit lighter than you do on the other points, or skipping it altogether. Under the nose, onto the chin crease, and then the collarbone. So the collarbone, what we want to do, we have the center of the collarbone where there's that like divot. You want to go about down an inch, over about an inch and a half, something like that. So we're on that fleshy part underneath the bone. Just remembering to breathe as you do this, because you can always just tap and breathe. It's as simple as just tapping and breathing. That's going to send that message to the brain to relax the body. And then under the arm. So for women, it's about in the center of the bra strap. For men, it's about 2 inches or so below the armpit. And some people like to do both at the same time, or you can go like this. I feel like this is kind of like a monkey, right? I like to just do one at a time. And I tend to switch back and forth as we go through rounds. And then the last spot is on the top of the hand, right here, between the pinky and the ring finger. So you can hold your hand out right in front of you like this and do this, or what I prefer to do is bring it to my chest. I don't know, there's just something soothing about having my hand on my heart as I tap on this point. So that is all of the points that are part of the protocol. But I do like to share some additional points because I find it helpful. So if you are someone who's out in public and you're prone to feeling really anxious or really overwhelmed, and you don't, let's say you're at the grocery store and you're in line and you don't want to be the person that's like tapping their head and having people look at them like, what's going on? What is that person doing? These are more discrete points that you can use and people would never know what you're doing. So if you take your hands and you just squeeze at the end of the nail bed, right? Just squeezing gently. We skip the ring finger. We just do all the other fingers besides the ring finger. Squeezing gently. And so this is something I also tell my kids because it's something that they can do at school, and it just looks like they're fidgeting with their fingers. But if they're nervous about a test or anything, anywhere that you're in public, you can just take your hands, put them under a desk, or just keep your hands in your lap and just squeeze the sides of each finger. I find that it can be really helpful. Remember to just continue to breathe. It's going to do that same exact thing of sending that message to the brain, letting the body know, nope, we don't need to be in fight or flight. We're going to calm it down right now. So that's really, really helpful. When we're tapping, it is this combination of tapping on those points while simultaneously acknowledging how we're feeling. And why is that important? So as humans, we tend to avoid things that don't feel good, right? So we don't like feeling anxious. We don't like feeling sad or frustrated or angry. Really, any intense emotion that doesn't bring us joy, we don't necessarily like to feel. And so people try to avoid those things. So when the sadness starts to well up or the anger starts to build, what do? We tend to distract ourselves with other things. Throw ourselves maybe into a book, or we binge Netflix, or we, have a few too many drinks, or anything to distract ourselves because we don't want to feel that way. But the thing is that by doing that, we're just stuffing it down. I call it stuffing. We're just stuffing it down, and eventually we're going to explode. And maybe that is exploding in anger at somebody who doesn't necessarily deserve to be on the other end of that, or it can come out physically and you can experience pain, physical pain in your body. I think the best way of describing that is with stress, right? So if I was to ask, if you feel stressed, where do you feel that in your body? Most people will have an automatic response like, oh, when I'm stressed, I get stomach aches, or I get migraines, or I get back pain. There's a certain area that people, associate that emotion with, that stress with. But the same thing goes for any emotion, whether it's sadness or anger or frustration. We feel those things in our bodies. And so when we acknowledge them, when we say it out loud, it allows us to really feel it, as opposed to like pushing it away and running away from it. And by inviting it in, by sitting with that emotion, we can then move through it, and it's not going to affect us in the same way. So and just one other example that I'll give is with trauma in particular. So if something happened to you in your past, and a long time ago, but then when there's triggers that can happen now, whether it's a song that comes on the radio, or you see something specific, a car driving by, and it reminds you of that time you got into a car accident, or anything you see, you smell, any kind of trigger can automatically bring you back to that moment that happened years ago. You can physically feel like it just happened. And what EFT can do is really help you to create space between that traumatic memory from your past and the present moment, so that eventually you can get to a space where you can think about that thing that happened, or even talk about it if you want to, and not have that physical response in your body. I feel like that's a really powerful thing that EFT can help people with. So those are the points, and in the next video I'm going to walk you through an exercise of tapping, and we'll go through that together, tapping and talking. So I hope to see you over there.